Have you ever wondered how to show possession in Spanish? And I'm not talking about putting name labels on all your food in the fridge at the office. I'm talking about these possessive adjectives like my, your, his. By the end of this video, you'll learn all there is to know about possessive adjectives in Spanish. Expressing possession is always important in any language to show what belongs to who. In Spanish, there are several ways to express it, and you will choose between them depending on the context. In this lesson, we'll learn all about the two types of possessive adjectives, short and long form. Then, we'll discover how to structure possessive adjectives in a sentence, and then finally, we'll look at the possessive adjective's close cousin, the possessive pronoun, and how to use them. You might already know the easiest form of expressing possession, the preposition de. In English, the equivalent is the apostrophe s, or of, as in Pedro's house, the house of Pedro. If you want to go deeper with this one, we recommend our detailed post on using de in Spanish. Today, though, we're looking at possessive adjectives, specifically short and long form. Short form possessive adjectives are placed before the noun. These can be translated literally to their English equivalents, while long-form possession adjectives are placed after the noun. These words have a different form, but they mean exactly the same thing. Let's dig a little deeper into what these two forms are, how they compare, and when we would choose one over the other. First off, short form possessive adjectives. These are the Spanish possession words which will seem most familiar to English speakers since they're used essentially the same way, just before the object which is possessed. As with other Spanish adjectives, our possessive adjectives always need to agree with the gender and number of the object they describe. Let's check out this table which lists all the different short form adjectives and how they look when they are masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. As you can see, we have all the pronouns: yo, tú, él, ella, and so on. If we take yo or my as an example, you can see that in the masculine and feminine singular, it becomes mi, while in the masculine and feminine plural, it becomes mis. Did you notice that most of the forms don't change between masculine and feminine? And that to go before singular and plural, all you need to do is add an S. Totally easy, right? The only exception to this is nosotros, nosotras, or vosotros, vosotras, which use os or as endings for masculine and feminine respectively. This table might look like a lot, but the whole list of short form possessive adjectives we use in Spanish can be summed up like this: mi, mis, tú, tus, su, sus, nuestro, nuestra, and nuestros, nuestras. Let's see what this looks like in action. Hoy voy a comprar mis muebles nuevos en el centro comercial. Today, I am going to buy my new furniture at the mall. In that example, we used mis, the Spanish equivalent of my, as the possessive adjective. Let's try another one. Nosotras llevaremos a nuestra gata y a nuestros perros a la consulta con el veterinario. We will take our cat and our dogs to the consultation with the veterinarian. Notice the difference between the masculine and feminine and singular and plural all in this sentence? As you can see, short form is super easy. Now, let's take it up a notch. Remember, if you want to learn how to speak Spanish, make sure to check out BaseLang.com, where you can get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with native speaking teachers, all via Zoom. Time to look at long-form possessive adjectives. These might be slightly less familiar to English speakers. The main difference with the long form is that they're placed after the noun they describe as opposed to before. But otherwise, the meaning remains the same. Let's take a look at another table. Did you notice that in contrast to the short forms, where only the nosotros and vosotros forms were modified to agree with the object's gender, all of the long-form possessive adjectives in Spanish changed to agree with both the gender and number of the object. We can sum up the long form possessive adjectives used with the short list. Míos, mías. Tuyos, tuyas. Suyos, suyas. Nuestros, nuestras. So, how do we use long form possessive adjectives? We just put them right after the noun, and we include a definite article before that noun. For example, ellas tienen que sacudir los zapatos suyos antes de entrar a la casa. They have to shake their shoes before entering the home. Notice how the adjective suyos comes after the noun. Making sense so far? Which brings us on to when do we choose long form over short form possessive adjectives? In Spanish, the short form possessive adjectives are by far the most common. You can use them all the time and get on just fine. However, it's good to be aware of the long forms so you can understand them when they're used and maybe try and use them yourself. As we saw before, you can use short form and long form possessive adjectives interchangeably, and the meaning stays the same. Let's take a look at a couple of examples at the same sentence in English with both short and long form. Muéstrame su boleto, por favor. Please show me your ticket. Muéstrame el boleto suyo, por favor. Please show me your ticket. While they are interchangeable, there is one context where long form is a much better choice when we want to emphasize possession. Let's use keys as an example. If you are walking out the door and want to check your friend has your keys, you could use the short form, ¿Tienes mis llaves? Do you have my keys? But if there was a pile of keys and you wanted to see if yours are among them, you might say, ¿Tienes las llaves mías? Do you have my keys? Both forms are correct, but the emphasis is different for the context. Here's a quick tip. There's one more unique possessive adjective that doesn't have an English equivalent, sendos or sendas, for masculine, feminine objects. It's only used in the plural and when everyone in a group of subjects each has their own objects. For example, the soldiers went to battle with their machine guns. Los soldados fueron a la batalla con sendas ametralladoras. As you can see, sendos and sendas distributes the possession equally. Each possessor has their own possessed object. Got it? Great. Before we take a look at how to structure possessive adjectives in sentences, make sure you hit that big red subscribe button down below. So now we know that the main forms of possessive adjectives are, let's find out how to use them. It's time to learn about sentence structure with possessive adjectives. So far, we've looked at the standard usage of both short form and long form possessive adjectives. There's a few different ways we structure them depending on the scenario, and we're going to look at 4. There's long form by itself, 1 from a group with other determinants, and reflexive exceptions. Let's start with when it's a long form by itself. The structure is very common, though it can be a little tricky. The best way to explain it is that when structuring in long form by itself, we simply omit the second instance of the possessed object. Let's use some examples to understand. Ese carro es el carro mío directly translates to that car is my car. See how clunky it sounds? This is where we want to drop the second instance of the possessed object. Ese carro es mío. That car is mine. As you can see, it sounds so much better. The second structure method is 1 from a group. When there's a group of objects and we want our possessive adjective to refer to one of the objects in the group, we use the indefinite article before the object and then the long form possessive adjective. Let's take an example where we have one object from a group. Un compañero mío de clase reprobó el examen de admisión para la universidad. A classmate of mine failed his college entrance exam. Here, the possessed object is one member of a group of high school students. We could also translate the same phrase by saying one of my classmates. The third structure is possessive adjectives with other determinants. What order do we use when the object has additional adjectives? What about with other determinants? With short form possessive adjectives, we just place them first, such as estaba encantado por sus grandes ojos azules. I was enchanted by her big blue eyes. With long form, it goes at the end, after the additional determinants. La vieja bicicleta rota tuya bloquea la única escalera nuestra. Your broken old bike blocks our only staircase. The fourth and final structure is an important exception: possession without possessive adjectives. Most of the time, you can recognize these cases because they're involved in actions using the reflexive pronouns me, te, se, nos, se. For example, Marisela se lava la cara. Marisela washes her face. In this example, since the face belongs to Marisela, the possession is made clear by the use of the reflexive pronoun along with the verb. In addition to body parts, other things which are placed on the body, such as clothing, also generally follow this rule. So remember those four types of structure: long form by itself, which is the most common; one from a group where we use the indefinite article before and the long form adjective after; other determinants go at the start or the end if they are short or long form respectively; and possession without possessives, which use reflexive pronouns. Remember, you can find more examples of everything we've covered in the Possessive Adjectives article on our website in the link below. Which brings us to the final part of this lesson: possessive pronouns. Possessive pronouns in Español are the equivalent to the English versions mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, theirs. Pronouns have the function of replacing a noun in a sentence. In Spanish, the possessive pronouns use exactly the same words as the long-form possessive adjectives we saw in that section. If we put the two tables side by side, the only difference is the headings. An important thing to note is that we usually use definite articles whenever we use a possessive pronoun. Not sure what I mean? Let's check out some examples. Empaqué mi traje de baño. ¿Trajiste el tuyo? I packed my swimsuit. Did you bring yours? Another one is, mi coche está casi sin gasolina. ¿Podemos tomar el tuyo? My car is almost out of gas. Can we take yours? Now, quick tip, we can use other determinants with possessive pronouns too. For example, our company is launching several new products, including a few of mine. Nuestra empresa está lanzando varios productos, incluyendo algunos míos. Let's summarize everything we've learned in today's lesson. We looked at the two types of possessive adjectives, short and long form. We discovered how to structure possessive adjectives in a sentence. And finally, we looked at possessive pronouns and how to use them. And throughout, we learned about usage, sentence structure, and exceptions. Whew! If you made it this far, well done! We covered a lot today, and we hope you learned a lot about possessive adjectives. If you want to dig even deeper into the topic, check out the article on possessive adjectives on our website, where you can also try some exercises to test your newfound knowledge. And if you want to practice this or any other grammar lesson with a live Spanish teacher, why not schedule your first BaseLang class today? At BaseLang.com, you get access to unlimited one-on-one Spanish classes with native-speaking teachers, all via Zoom. Try your first week for only $1. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Spanish learning content. Check out our recent video on conversation starters to really help you break the ice. See you in the next lesson.